Welcome to the Gavel. I'm Linda Akibe. The Senate has commenced a fresh process of amending the 2010 Electoral Act. The amendment of the Electoral Act was listed on the Senate order paper for first reading on Tuesday, March 27th. It's not clear at this point what the specific areas for amendment are in this fresh exercise, or if the Senate is still holding firm to the proposed amendment to the ongoing exercise. Now recall that President Muhammadu Buhari declined assent on the amendment of the Electoral Act. However, the amendment of the Electoral Act has continued to generate controversy in the country. There have been media reports that lawmakers in both chambers are being offered money to defeat the planned override of the president's veto on the Electoral Act amendment.
The amendment of the Electoral Act has continued to generate controversy in the country, with the media focusing on the matter. President Buhari had declined assent to the amendment of the 2010 Electoral Act, insisting that the amendment may infringe on the constitutionally guaranteed discretion of INEC to organize, undertake and supervise all elections provided in Section 16A of the Constitution. A federal lawmaker in the Senate is displeased over a recent media report which alleged that lawmakers are being offered money to defeat the planned override of the president's veto on the Electoral Act amendment.
Recently, only yesterday, the social media and the newspapers were awash with claims that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and even the House of Reps are collecting $50,000, the House of Reps $30,000. Mr. President, this is very unfortunate. It impinges on my privileges as a Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The allegation is a sour point for other lawmakers.
This is scandalous. And for a Senate, the highest lawmaking body of any country, to be so accused. And I stand here to declare and say that I know nothing about this. And I believe, if not all of us, most of us. So I think that to put this to rest and to let the public know and maintain the integrity of this House, this issue must be thoroughly investigated. So I'm saying, I'm moving that, we should mandate the Committee on Ethics and within 2 weeks or 1 week, to please find out which senators or whoever, or those from the villa or from anywhere, whoever is involved should be brought to book.
This matter impinges on the integrity of entire, and this Senate for the last 2.5 years since we started, we've never had this kind of report.
The amendment of the 2010 Electoral Act is also causing divisions in the upper chamber among lawmakers. Senator Ovie Omoagege, who is against the amendment which sets a sequence for the conduct of the elections, is facing the Ethics Committee over remarks he made, claiming that the amendment targets President Buhari. Senator Dino Melai from Kogi State had complained to the Senate that the remarks breached his privilege as a lawmaker. Both lawmakers appeared before the Ethics Committee.
I felt it was not the best. The President is the President of every one of us, including those who voted him and those who did not. And at this point in time, it is not proper to divide the Senate.
I have a right to protect myself from giving testimony that will open me up to criminal charges that may or may not be filed by the Attorney General of the Federation, who is the only authority vested with the powers under that very act I just cited to bring criminal charges, which this very statement constitutes. As a consequence of that, Mr. Chairman, this matter is already in court.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is to investigate the same allegation that its members received bribe to the tune of $30,000 each with regards to the ongoing consideration of the amendment of the Electoral Act. The House says it is worried about the damaging effect of the accusation on the image of the 8th Assembly and promises that it will get to the root of the matter.
It's a matter that has to do with a newspaper publication where it is alleged that we have been bribed $30,000 each to change the sequence of election.
Lawmakers were visibly disappointed and upset. They rejected the allegation that the House is corrupt and maintained that the House will not be intimidated from carrying out its constitutional obligations.
Mr. Speaker, what I see here is irresponsible journalism. Because for you to put out anything there, you must be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt.
We're in an election year, Mr. Speaker. We're all going home for Easter. Many of our constituents are going to read these reports and believe them to be true. And they're going to ask you for their own share of the money. What money?
Comment to the House.
The matter was eventually referred to the Committee on Ethics and Privileges for further investigation.
We have to look into it and get the advice from the Ethics Committee. If they so decide that no privilege has been breached, we abandon the matter there, they will recommend to the House, and then we move on. So the matter is referred to Ethics and Privileges Committee.
The House has threatened to review the accreditation of journalists covering the National Assembly in an attempt to discourage media reports which they feel are untrue.